Very often lately, I keep getting this question, and the question kind of it's got a broad sense, but how do you reach yourself? How do you talk to your guides? How do you speak with your higher self? How do you do this? Basically, and my answer to all these questions is always the same. It's go inward. But how do you do that? Now, I've been inspired by a certain individual who shall remain nameless, but I'm eternally grateful for this person, this incredible being, to inspire me to do this video on this subject. How do I go inward? This is what works for me, in the hopes that it works for others or triggers them to be able to remember that they are really good at it. All of you are really good at it. Now, very often when we meditate, our analytical mind or our ego minds race. They can get in the way. I'm no different. And in fact, mine is at light speed. And to prove that, I have a cheat sheet so that I hit on all the points of this that I feel are poignant. So starting off is this. It's very important to release all expectations. The expectations are somewhat, well, they're limiting because they're coming from your mind, not your heart. Now, focusing your awareness, that is the most important thing I feel, is to be able to focus your awareness. How do I do that? Let's back up a step and say, let's start in coming to a connection with one's inner self. I'm sure most everybody is familiar with the 7 body chakras. There's the crown chakra just above the head, the third eye, the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra behind the belly button, and then the root chakra at the base of the spine. Each of them is a power center of its own kind, all residing within this one being that is us. Now, focusing your awareness is kind of important, but here's the most important thing to remember. This is not complicated. In fact, it's so simple that most people don't get it. It is so simple, and everyone can do this. First, let's quiet this thing a bit. How do we do that? Well, the ego is going to constantly be there. You can't shut it off. Very often you can't even quiet it, but what you can do is you can occupy it. You can give it a job. And it's pretty simple. What I do is when I go into a meditation, I simply have it monitor my breathing. I'll watch the inhale, watch the exhale. I'll bring that to a very comfortable cadence of the breathing. Now this thing is completely occupied. Now, I did this in another video, but let's talk about focusing awareness. Focusing awareness is really important. Now, as we focus our awareness, we can bring that awareness to different places. Everyone can do this. So, as we control our breathing and we let the monkey mind, the analytical mind, the ego, we give that a job to control the breathing. So now, to move that awareness away from the head space, and down into the heart, very simple. Take your awareness, here's a little example, I've done it in another video, I'll do the same thing. Take this awareness and bring your awareness to a pinpoint on the bottom of your left big toe. Pause. Feel what that awareness is of that little spot on your left big toe. Now, bring that up behind your right ear. If you can feel the difference between your awareness on the toe and the ear, it is no different in shifting your awareness down through your chakras. So at that point, you can shift it from your mind space down into your heart. The heart holds all answers. End of story. It's that simple. So the next thing is really important to do is to release all expectations. The expectations of having this grand epiphany, now that does happen, but more often this is done in a very subtle way, an incremental way. There is no heavens opening up, lightning bolts coming down, and I'm suddenly this superhuman spiritual powerhouse that has all these great powers. Well, that's true, we all are. The powers are very different than what this thing tells us. So let me consult my cheat sheet here. When we release the expectations, what are we achieving by releasing the expectations? Well, we've freed ourselves from any mental restraints, allowing ourselves to come into the heart space. At the same time, we have self-empowered. The next step for me is to feel as opposed to think. When I bring my awareness down from my headspace into my heart, there is a very significant difference between feeling and thinking. Remember how good at this you all are. We are not different in this aspect. Now, very, very important element of bringing your awareness or expanding your awareness, which is always there. It's your perception of your awareness that's the block. You can change that perception in an instant. An instant. Now, how do we do that? Very simple. Bring back the wonder of a child. Remember when you were that little child and you knew magic was real. You didn't question anything. You had such sensitivity. The sensitivity, that's the key. That's the power. Bringing back the sensitivity. Being aware of the sensitivity. Those tiny little voices in the back of your mind, not your brain, your mind. Bring them to the foreground. When I really started to open up, I've always had voices, always, but when I really started to open up, the voices had faces. Not only did they have faces, they had personalities. They were complete, incredible beings, guides, or whatever you want to call them. So to very simplify, how do I go inward? It's important to remember that if you're looking for your answers from another, if you're looking for your answers somewhere else, you are simply looking in the wrong place. Now, this is a lesson or an initiation that is very, very important. This is not a bad thing. This is a gift. And to shift your perspective to knowing it's a gift and not a curse or a block or anything, these are the things that are very, very important for us to remember of how we are. So, again, we're going to bring our conscious thought, we're going to occupy that mind. We're going to bring our awareness down into the heart, and we're going to focus on feeling as opposed to thinking. Practice on what that feels like. What is the difference? Then allow yourself to remember. It's important. Drop all expectations. No grand epiphany. Simply allow yourself to be. You are amazing beings. And this is something that you have orchestrated very specifically and divinely for you to have this experience. This is very important. I've cut myself off. I don't have sensitivities. I can't touch my higher self. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's all perception. And you can change that in an instant. by choosing to do so. Choosing with your heart, not your mind. Control this thing. Don't let it control you. Give it a job, whether it be to monitor your breath. Sometimes I like to let that monkey mind go and let it race and race and race, because I think it's funny when I look at it from a heart's perspective. I find it absolutely amusing that the mind is telling me all these different distracting thoughts and trying to throw doubt and everything, and it cannot compare to the truth of what's inside. I hope this helps you all. I hope it helps. If it helps one person, then I've done what I've really wanted to do here. My blessings to you all. We are all one. Look inward, because inward you will see incredible things. You will understand the vastness of self inward. Many, many blessings. I love you all.